we've got hostage recovery out of Gaza. Now, got to be clear, they recovered 2 bodies out of Gaza that belong to hostages. So that brings the total number of hostages left in Gaza to 48. They still believe 20 of them are alive. Also, the diplomatic fallout that we may see from Secretary Rubio's decision to deny visas to officials from the Palestinian Authority at the United Nations. So what happened today in Gaza is the IDF and Shin Bet were able to locate and recover the bodies of 2 hostages, Ilan Weiss and another guy who was a soldier that they haven't identified his name yet. The way that they found these guys as they're pushing into Gaza City is through interrogations of captured Hamas soldiers. And this may actually present a ray of hope for the Israelis as they continue to push into Gaza. They have decided to suspend their ceasefires, daily ceasefires, or tactical pauses that they had agreed to before in Gaza City specifically, where they had been saying from this time to this time, we're not going to fight in these areas. And that was in order to let the people get out of those areas and get to places where they could get food. But they are very motivated right now to push into Gaza City and try to recover more of their hostages. Now, the 7th Brigade of the IDF is one of many brigades that's pushing into Gaza City. They're taking the neighborhood of Zaytun. Zaytun should be right in here. And the 7th Brigade has gone into Zaytun 7 times already. They've already cleared that neighborhood 7 times. And then they leave every time. The people come back, Hamas comes back, and they have to go in and do it all over again. Now, that might sound like insanity, really, but in some ways it's not. And let me explain. Whenever the IDF goes into any place in Gaza, if they plan to pull out of that place later, they emplace a lot of different kinds of intelligence gathering devices that will give them very good intelligence or very good views of that area once they leave. And by doing that, they then pull out, they allow the people to come back in, and they can start gathering intelligence from those people as they are just going about their business. This is one way where Israel has been able to locate and even rescue hostages in the past, although they're being very careful about that now. Now, the 7th Brigade is very motivated to go in and clear out Tun, not only because they've had to do it a bunch of times before, and this time may be the last time, but also because 6 of their fellow soldiers, 6 soldiers from the 7th Brigade, are still being held hostage. And they know that at least 2 of them are still alive. So obviously they want to go in and rescue their buddies, and they realize that time is of the essence. The chances of getting anybody out alive goes down every single day. And now I want to just move on to, here, this is a picture of the guy they recovered, his body, Ilan Weiss. Now, Ilan Weiss was an emergency responder at the kibbutz, and he was responding to October 7th when he was killed, and then they dragged his body into Gaza. Now, as I got a chance to visit the kibbutz Be'eri just a couple days after the attacks, right after they had finished clearing the kibbutz. Let's watch. As teams are still recovering bodies from the kibbutz Be'eri, only 2 miles from the border. Children's toys lie scattered in the midst of shell casings and burned out cars. The smell of death lingers in the air, a pungent reminder of the hellish attack. The terrorists came across. They came in here and slaughtered about 10% of the residents of this kibbutz. These are children, old people.
It's not the human rights that you in your mind think of, okay? If we treat them at the same level, we will keep seeing these horrible things.
Yeah. How would you describe how the IDF is feeling and Israelis are feeling right now?
Right now, there is no place for feeling. We are professionals. We need to achieve our goals, and our goal is to ensure that the Hamas organization is no longer exist.
This is what we're talking about here. You see these pictures of people with their babies, their children, that just wanted to live a peaceful life. And on the 7th of October, that peace was shattered. And now their home looks like this.
And this is exactly the reason that we need to clear this region, not only the perimeter around the kibbutz. All this region we must clear from this kind of threat if we want to provide our citizens the security, the protection that we could not give them last Saturday. We need to do the right thing right now.
Yesterday, I reported that Israel had pushed into Syria and accomplished a raid just on the outskirts of Damascus, only 5 miles from the city center. And they took over a military base. It took about 2 hours. So there were airstrikes all around the military base to keep quick reaction force at bay. Some, maybe 9 or 10 soldiers from the new Syrian regime were killed in that engagement. And they collected a whole bunch of intelligence. Some of the intelligence they collected was not in the form of computers or paperwork or anything like that. It was in the form of devices that had been installed by Turkey to spy on Israel. And we don't know exactly what they were, but it could have been radars, it could have been long distance cameras, maybe listening devices, I don't know. But whatever they were, it was sufficient enough for Israel to dismantle those and take them with them back to Israel at the end of the mission. And today, the government of Turkey made a statement that they are cutting off all diplomatic relations with Israel. They're even closing their airspace to Israel, they claim, although that hasn't happened yet, which would mean that planes leaving Israel can no longer fly over Turkey to get somewhere else, even if they're not landing in Turkey. But that might not actually be why the Turks decided to take that step. And what might actually be the reason is because Benjamin Netanyahu publicly announced that he and the Israeli government recognized the Armenian genocide by the Turks back in 1918 to 1922. So Turkey cutting diplomatic ties with Israel probably has more to do with that 1-minute segment on Patrick Bet-David's show where Benjamin Netanyahu announced, or just right there in real time, acknowledged the Armenian genocide by the Ottoman Turks. Doing that in Turkey is illegal, will get you put in jail. So the Turks are pretty sensitive about mentions of the Armenian genocide. All right, so now let's move on to what happened in New York, because this is great. Yesterday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that he was blocking the Palestinian Authority and the PLO from attending the UN General Assembly in New York City in September. Those guys have to get visas to come to the United States like everybody else does. And getting a visa to the United States is no joke. It's difficult to do. In this particular case, what Secretary Rubio did is he blocked members of the Palestinian Authority and PLO who already had visas to come to the United States. So he revoked their visas so that they cannot come to New York for the UN General Assembly. By yanking the visas for people like President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority and barring them from coming is more than just political theater. It's a symbolic blow. It's got some historical context, not the first time that's happened. Yasser Arafat had his visa denied in 1988, and the United States has put restrictions on Iranian and other delegations as well from time to time. We should definitely take steps, whatever steps are possible, to reduce the visibility, the influence, and the power of the Palestinian Authority over the United Nations any way we can. I don't know why we can't. They all have visas as well. Those are diplomatic visas, though. And for some reason, we are not choosing to do that. So in some ways, this move by the Trump administration is performative, but in other ways, it's substantive. And more power to them. Now, Hamas claims that they have accepted a ceasefire proposal for Gaza that involves a 60-day truce, a phased release of half the remaining hostages, going back to what they had been trying to mediate before Israel announced that they were going to go all in and take over all of Gaza City. And the reason for that is because Hamas does not want to see Gaza City razed to the ground like much of Gaza has been already. And continuing to push this narrative of, oh, Hamas is reasonable. We've accepted the ceasefire proposal. It's the same ceasefire proposal that they rejected before. They will do what they can to restart ceasefire negotiations, and then they'll drag their feet, and then they'll throw an extra few conditions in there. Oh, by the way, Israel has to give up. They're not serious. They're not serious at all about getting a ceasefire. And what the Israelis have said, if you recall, is that they are done negotiating for a partial release of some of the hostages. They will only accept the release of all of the remaining hostages at one time. All of them. Every single one of them. That is something that Hamas is not going to agree to, because they are the only bargaining chips Hamas has. If Hamas gives all of those up, it's all over for them. But if they don't give them up, Israel's going to go in and they're going to flatten Gaza City. And that's obviously going to cause a lot of human suffering. It's going to drastically reduce the livable area of Gaza. And it may have to happen. And it may actually result in the rescue or death of the remaining Israeli hostages. It will result in one of those two outcomes for sure. It's not working so well for them now to continue to claim that there's famine in Gaza. The AP, which is completely in the tank for Hamas, is reporting today that the famine is expanding in Gaza, and another 13 people died yesterday of hunger. So far, Hamas, by their own numbers, says that only 350 or so people have died during the entire war of hunger. There would have to be that many people dying every day for it to be a legitimate famine in Gaza. But we don't even need to make that case, because the Palestinians are making the case for us with videos like this one. Take a listen. And I translated this to English if you wondered why this woman is speaking English.
Hello. Greetings from the heart of destruction and siege. Today, folks, Elias Bakery in the Asbahaba market has opened its shop with reasonable prices, accepting both app and cash payments. I want to show you what they have and their prices. Hello. Greetings. You are the owner of the shop, right?
No, about existence.
Hello and welcome. Thank you. Did you open the new shop? We want to see what you have. You see, everyone
cupcakes.
has cakes of all kinds for those who want to
Yum.
take them for birthdays. He
Birthday
also accepts
cakes.
app payments. It's the same as cash, even for a minimum of 100 shekel. And here, everyone is the code. And here are the mamul, everyone, just for those who...
A kilo for 90.
A kilo for 90. Everyone.
80 per kilo.
A kilo for 80. And what else do you have? He only has this sweet.
This is also available for you at Zanats only.
So that was yesterday in Gaza. We're seeing these videos come out on a daily basis from Gaza.